Welcome back, everyone, to Complete Aviation Solutions. And this is Deep Dive number 42,
42.
where we take a closer look at, some of the more interesting developments in the industry.
Right.
So we've got quite a bit to unpack today.
We do.
We've got some airlines teaming up,
Yeah.
some potential shifts in who owns what,
Mm-hmm.
some expansions of maintenance capabilities,
Right.
and some important regulatory actions.
Yeah, absolutely. A lot going on.
So I guess let's get right to it.
Let's do it.
So one of the first things I saw that caught my eye
Okay.
is this pretty significant new partnership
Yeah.
between Ethiopian Airlines and Etihad Airways.
Yeah. Big
They
news.
signed an agreement back on March 19th.
Mm-hmm.
And what's the thinking here?
Well,
I
so
mean, you've got
at the core of this,
two major airlines
this is about expanding reach.
from different parts of the world
Absolutely.
coming together.
Yeah, giving passengers more seamless travel options.
Yeah,
So Ethiopian obviously has this huge network throughout Africa,
right.
and Etihad is strong in the Middle East and Asia.
Mm-hmm.
So this opens up a lot more, potential destinations, more convenient routes
Yeah,
for travelers on both airlines.
right. Yeah, and they've got their strengths in different areas.
Exactly.
So it seems like it makes sense.
Yeah, and it's about smart market access, right?
Okay.
So for Etihad,
Yeah.
tapping into that network that
Yeah.
Ethiopian has built up, throughout Africa,
Yeah.
provides a valuable advantage for them.
Okay.
And for Ethiopian, leveraging Etihad's Abu Dhabi hub
Mm-hmm.
offers them a smoother pathway into key Asian and European markets
Yeah.
than they might be able to get, on their own.
Right. Right.
So it's mutually beneficial in that sense.
Yeah. So I mean, what will people see
Okay.
like in the air as a result of this?
The most immediate impact is going to be new direct flights. So Ethiopian Airlines,
Yeah.
they're starting daily flights
Okay.
between Addis Ababa and Abu Dhabi on July 15th.
Okay.
And then soon after, October 1st,
Mm-hmm.
Etihad will start their nonstop service
Okay.
between Abu Dhabi and Addis Ababa. And it's interesting the different aircraft they're planning to use.
Okay.
Etihad will use their A320 family aircraft
Okay.
for that route, while Ethiopian is going with the bigger planes,
Yeah.
the A350, 1000, and Boeing 777s,
Mm-hmm.
which maybe kind of tells us a little something about their expectations
Yeah.
for those passenger numbers.
Yeah. They think they're going to fill those seats.
Exactly.
Interesting.
Yeah.
So it sounds like it's more than just adding a couple new routes, though.
It goes deeper. These
Yeah.
kinds of agreements usually do.
Yeah.
This one, it paves the way for working together in a few other important areas.
Okay.
For example, they're looking at how they can align
Yeah.
their frequent flyer programs. So that could mean
Yeah.
more benefits for loyal customers.
Right. Yeah.
They're also exploring, working together on crew training,
Right. Makes sense.
which could lead to, some shared expertise
Yeah.
and efficiency gains.
Okay.
And very importantly, they're
Yeah.
planning to work together on cargo operations,
Oh,
which is a really vital part of the whole airline business.
Yeah. Yeah. So it's not just the passenger side.
No, not at all.
It's really the whole thing.
Yeah, the whole operation.
So we've got some information here about
Okay.
the size of their fleets.
Mm-hmm.
Etihad has 105 aircraft,
Yeah.
a pretty good mix of the Airbus.
Mhm.
The narrow bodies, the A320s, A321s,
Right.
wide bodies, A350 1000,
Yeah.
even the A380,
Uh-huh.
Boeing 777 freighters,
Yep.
and passenger planes,
Mm-hmm.
and then also a good number of 787 Dreamliners.
Yeah.
And then Ethiopian has 145 aircraft.
Right.
They've got A350s as well,
Mm-hmm.
but also a wider range of Boeing planes.
Yeah.
You've got, 737,
Yeah.
767 freighters,
Got it.
777, 787s,
Mm-hmm.
even some of those smaller turboprops.
Yeah, for those regional routes.
Does the breakdown of their fleets tell us anything about their strategies?
Absolutely. Looking at their fleets, you can see they're very complementary.
All right.
Etihad, they're strong in long haul,
Okay.
wide body aircraft. So that's good for those international routes.
Mhm.
Ethiopian's got a more diverse fleet,
Okay.
which includes smaller aircraft, which are super important for connecting all those regional,
Right.
destinations within Africa.
Okay.
So that synergy, I think,
Yeah.
between those different fleet types is going to be key
Yeah.
to making this partnership work.
And it's
Yeah.
it's an interesting time, I think, for Etihad in particular.
Right.
They announced earlier this year that they're adding 10 new routes.
Mm.
They're going to be adding 1 in North America,
Okay.
2 in Northern Africa,
Yeah.
7 in Asia.
Wow. So a big push in Asia.
A big expansion in Asia.
Yeah.
And they're also looking for investors
Mm-hmm.
ahead of a potential IPO.
Right.
So, I mean, a strong partnership like this with Ethiopian
Yeah.
could definitely make them a more attractive option
It could. Yeah.
for investors.
This is very strategic for them.
Yeah.
It really positions them well for growth.
Right.
And strengthens, their overall appeal
Yeah.
as they're, heading towards that potential public offering.
Right. Right. And Ethiopian has big ambitions as well.
They do.
They're hoping to start flights to Australia
Mm-hmm.
within the next couple of years,
Wow.
which would give them a presence on every continent.
Yeah.
And there's also some reporting
Okay.
that they're considering
Mm-hmm.
taking a stake in South African Airways,
Int-
which could, really solidify their position
It could, yeah.
as the dominant player
Yeah.
in African aviation.
Right.
So
this joint venture, yeah.
it's a strategic move.
It is, it seems like.
Yeah, it's all about leveraging.
Both of them.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Each airline using, the
Yeah.
other's strengths to, expand
Yeah.
in a way that might be harder to do on their own.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, yeah, very strategic.
Interesting. So let's shift gears a little bit.
All right.
And talk about a potential ownership change
Yeah.
for another airline.
Okay.
The French shipping and logistics giant CMA-CGM has put in a bid to take over Air Belgium.
Wow.
So this also happened on March 19th.
Okay.
And that bid is currently being reviewed.
Right.
Now, for those who aren't familiar,
Mhm.
what kind of company is CMA-CGM?
Okay, so
What
what
do they do?
CMA CGM is huge.
Okay.
They are a global player.
In shipping and logistics,
Okay.
they move massive amounts
Right.
of goods all around the world.
Okay.
What's really interesting about this bid is they're already involved in air cargo.
Okay.
So they already operate their own cargo airline,
Okay.
CGM Air Cargo,
Oh, yeah?
and they've got a fleet of Boeing 777 freighters,
Okay.
Airbus A330 freighters.
Mhm.
They actually had a previous deal with Air Belgium,
Oh.
where Air Belgium was flying some A330 freighters for them
Okay.
before CMA-CGM,
Yeah.
their own operating certificate.
Right.
And then CMA-CGM also has a stake in a cargo partnership
Okay.
with Air France KLM.
Hmm.
So this really
Yeah.
shows their serious intentions
Yeah.
in this sector.
Yeah, so this isn't their
No,
first foray
no, not at all.
into aviation then.
Right.
They're really looking to build up their
It seems so.
air freight capability.
Yeah, yeah.
So why is Air Belgium in a position to be taken over?
Well, unfortunately, they've been facing some pretty significant financial problems.
Okay.
They've been under judicial supervision
Mm.
since September 2023,
Okay.
and then they actually entered judicial liquidation
Okay.
in September 2024.
Okay.
So think of that as
Yeah.
a formal process, kind of
Okay.
like bankruptcy,
Okay.
where the company's assets are managed
Right?
to try and, satisfy creditors,
Yeah.
and often with the hope of finding a buyer,
Yeah.
for the business or parts of it.
Okay.
There was a previous attempt by another company to take over their cargo operations,
Okay.
but that fell through earlier this month.
Okay.
So this bid from CMA, CGM, it really
Yeah.
could be
Yeah.
a lifeline for Air Belgium.
Yeah. So what does Air Belgium's operation look like right now?
Okay.
Like what are they actually offering?
Their main focus is cargo and what's called ACMI services.
Okay.
So ACMI stands for aircraft, crew, maintenance, and insurance.
Okay.
So basically they lease out their aircraft along with the staff and all the support needed to run them
Okay.
to other airlines.
Right.
Their current fleet.
Yeah.
They've got 2 Airbus A330-200s
Yeah.
that have been, converted to carry cargo.
Okay.
And they've got 2 Boeing 747-8 freighters.
Okay. So they're really
Cargo.
focused.
So if CGM's bid is successful,
Yeah.
it seems very likely
Yeah.
that Air Belgium's future would really be,
Yeah.
heavily oriented towards cargo.
Yeah.
which would make sense,
Yeah, it really would.
for CMA.
Yeah, it aligns with their existing
It does.
air cargo business.
Yeah, it aligns with their existing business, and I think this also highlights this increasing, convergence we're seeing between, maritime shipping and air cargo.
Right.
Where companies are really trying to offer these broader
the total
transportation solutions.
Yeah. Interesting. So let's look at another part of the world.
All right.
We've got some interesting news coming out of Nigeria. Regarding aero contractors. They've got some pretty ambitious plans to expand their maintenance, repair, and overhaul facility.
Right, their MRO facility.
This is in Lagos.
So this is big news for the aviation industry in that whole region, West and Central Africa. Aero contractors, they expect to complete this expanded facility within the next 3 months.
Wow.
And they really want to make it a one-stop shop.
A
leading maintenance hub for the region.
Right.
And they really want to boost their capacity
Okay.
to do these heavy maintenance checks
Okay.
on aircraft. So
Yeah.
it's quite ambitious.
Yeah. So, the CEO was talking about acquiring new tools,
Right.
upgrading the hangar,
Yeah.
modernizing the workshop.
Mm-hmm.
Sounds like a significant investment.
It is. It is. And,
Yeah.
and it's important to remember the context here.
Okay.
So the current CEO, he was brought in back in 2017 to turn around Aero Contractors,
Okay.
which has been under the management
Okay.
of this state-owned asset management company
Okay.
since 2016.
Okay.
So this MRO expansion
Yeah.
seems like a key part of that.
Yeah.
That whole recovery and growth strategy.
Yeah. So it sounds like their maintenance division has already made some progress.
They have, absolutely.
Yeah.
The MRO unit's been a strategic priority.
Okay.
They offer routine, line maintenance.
Okay.
And those more extensive base maintenance services.
Mm-hmm.
And they've successfully completed, some pretty significant checks on older Boeing 737 aircraft. They've expanded their workshop capabilities and even, made their hangar bigger.
Okay.
And they've done all this without relying on external financing,
Right.
which is a real achievement.
Yeah, that's impressive.
They've also secured some maintenance contracts for newer aircraft like the 737 and 787s. And they're planning to expand their services to include Bombardier Aerospace aircraft.
Interesting.
Yeah, so, covering everything from engine maintenance, landing gear repairs, all sorts of things.
Yeah, so they're really trying to
they're trying to broaden their
become a one-stop shop.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And their MRO unit, it can already do some pretty detailed checks.
Okay.
They can do, up to D checks on those older Boeing 737s and de Havilland -8 aircraft. So yeah, they're quite capable.
Yeah, very interesting.
Yeah.
We also saw that Aero Contractors recently signed an agreement with the Nigerian Safety Investigation Bureau.
Right, the NSI.
Yeah, what's the focus of that collaboration?
So this memorandum of understanding signed back on March 17th.
Okay.
It's really about making safety training better.
Okay.
Making sure there's good exchange of knowledge and developing human capital within the Nigerian industry.
Okay.
As part of this, people from the NSI will get hands-on training at Aero Contractors facilities.
Okay.
They'll be using the simulators, the workshops.
Right.
And in return, Aero Contractors staff will get specialized training from the NSIB on accident investigation.
So
there's really a two-way street there.
It is, yeah, a real partnership.
Yeah, and that's got to help.
Well, this kind of collaboration is so important.
Yeah, for a strong safety culture.
Right.
So having that close relationship between, a maintenance provider and the accident investigation body can really help things.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
And this initiative could really help the region as a whole.
Well, absolutely.
Reduce reliance on having to send aircraft overseas for maintenance.
Right, which can be really expensive.
Yeah.
And logistically difficult for airlines in West and Central Africa.
For sure.
So, having that strong local capability is so important for the long-term growth and sustainability of the industry there.
Yeah, keeps the money in the region as well.
Exactly, yeah.
So
Okay.
Last but not least,
Okay.
let's talk about some regulatory news.
Okay.
Transport Canada has issued a couple of airworthiness directives.
Right. ADs.
Yeah.
Affecting the A220.
Yeah, affecting Airbus A220 aircraft.
Okay.
Can you break those down for us?
Sure. So these ADs, they apply to both the Dash 100 and the Dash 300 models. The first one deals with a potential issue with the overhead bins, the luggage compartments. So what Transport Canada found was that on some aircraft, the tie rods that hold those bins in place didn't have enough thread engagement. And this could be dangerous during an emergency landing, because those compartments could come loose and potentially, injure passengers. So the directive mandates inspections of these tie rods within 48 months of the effective date, which was March 17th. And it requires airlines to make adjustments to the thread engagement if they find any problems.
And then there's a second directive as well.
There is, And this one focuses on a different part of the aircraft. The outer wing box. It concerns some titanium fasteners. And it turns out that during rework at the Airbus final assembly line in Canada, these fasteners weren't installed correctly. And that can weaken the joint and potentially, cause damage in that part of the structure.
So then
there's also a risk of fuel leakage if one of those fasteners were to fail. So this AD, it requires airlines to fix this within a shorter time frame, either within 500 flight cycles of March 10th. Which was the effective date, or before the aircraft hits 10,000 flight cycles, whichever comes first.
So they've got
a deadline.
They got to get on that. So these sound like important safety measures. Which airlines?
Well, a lot of airlines operate A220s. And so they're affected. So you've got Air Baltic, Delta, Swiss, Korean Air, Air Tanzania, Breeze Airways, Cyprus Airways, Egypt Air, Air Canada, IBOM Air, JetBlue, Air Austral, Air France, Iraqi Airways, and ITA Airways.
So a lot of the bigger players out there.
So all of those airlines will have to carry out those inspections. And make any fixes that are needed, within the time frames to make sure, their fleets are operating safely.
So it really highlights the constant vigilance and attention to detail.
It really shows that's needed to make sure air travel is safe. Sometimes even little things can have big safety implications, and that requires quick action from the regulators.
And these ADs really show how proactive they are.
They're really good at identifying and addressing potential safety problems. It's impressive, actually, how well that system works to catch those things early.
And they're always learning.
Always learning.
And evolving. So it's it's a complex system. But it seems to be working.
So as we've seen in this deep dive, the aviation industry is really dynamic.
It's constantly changing.
It's always evolving,
Absolutely.
We looked at partnerships that aim to expand global reach. Potential changes in who owns airlines. Which could really reshape the industry.
It could,
significant investments in maintenance capabilities in a really key region.
Absolutely.
And then also important regulatory actions.
That focus on keeping everyone safe.
That focus on safety is paramount.
So, I think,
what stands out to you?
What really stands out to me
as the biggest takeaway from all this
is that proactive approach. We're seeing airlines positioning themselves strategically for growth, whether it's through partnerships or acquisitions. We see maintenance providers, really investing in infrastructure to support the industry. And then you've got the regulators who are, constantly watching and taking action to keep those standards high.
Right.
So all that is crucial for a healthy and sustainable aviation ecosystem.
Yeah, for sure. I think for me, what stands out is really the sheer scale of it all.
It is huge.
Yeah, the global aviation network is massive.
Yeah.
And it's also interconnected.
So these events that are happening, on different sides of the world, they all ultimately impact.
They do.
Everyone who flies.
Yeah, it's a global system.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's it for Complete Aviation Solutions. Deep dive number 42.
42.
We just want to give you a little snapshot.
Yeah, a little glimpse
of some of the things that are happening.
Right.
And each of these stories, could be its own deep dive.
Oh, absolutely.
So, we encourage you to think about these things.
Yeah, think
about how do these changes affect the future of travel, the movement of goods, the safety of the skies.
Yeah, it's an exciting time to be following this industry.
Yeah, it really is.
So much is happening.
Yeah, so much going on.
Yeah.
So we'll see you next time.
See you next time.